Hi guys, welcome back to Matt Chat number 37, covering one of the best action strategy games ever made, Bullfrog's Syndicate. Now, when most people hear the name Peter Molyneux, they probably think, first and foremost, of Fable, a very popular and successful role-playing game that lets the player decide whether to be good or bad, angelic, demonic, and the characters around your character will react accordingly. It's a very rightfully successful game. But if you've been in gaming for a long time, you probably know that Peter Molyneux developed some very influential and masterpieces a long time before Fable. The first of these, in my opinion, is a 1989 game called Populous. Now, Populous was a real breakthrough. This game was a technological marvel, but also a gameplay. The gameplay was just, nobody had seen anything like this before. Instead of controlling characters directly, like in most games, you control them indirectly, specifically by doing things like flattening terrain, which lets your people build increasingly difficult, increasingly sophisticated structures. It's very original, and it was very successful, and it did a lot for Peter Molyneux's reputation. Now, the company, Bullfrog Productions, that he was producing for, went on to create a game after that called Powermonger, which took a lot of these same concepts and focused more on war and combat. But it's the 1993 game Syndicate that I want to focus on here. Now, I'll just start off by saying Syndicate is a very dark and sinister and gritty game. It's set in a cyberpunk setting, if you know what that means. Basically, I think of the films like Blade Runner, which is one of my favorite films, and quite frankly, if you haven't seen it, for God's sake, go see it. It's really that good. It's worth your time. Syndicate is also worth your time. In addition to having a really wonderful setting, and as we'll see, these city blocks where the game takes place, they're very animated, they're very interactive, they're very highly detailed, especially for the time, but also really like the gameplay design and the interface. You have a lot of control over your characters, and you can make so many choices about your strategies, about how you want to accomplish the missions. It's just a wonderful game. It gives you just so many options, so many different ways to play it, and the replay value is astronomical. Quite frankly, I got sucked into it when I was making this video and had to tear myself away in order to talk to you about it. Anyway, we've got a lot to cover here. It's a great game. So without further ado, let's play Syndicate. Now I'm going to skip the customizing your logo and company name and all that, and just get into the game. The first order of business, of course, is to get debriefed on our first mission, and it's a very straightforward mission. All we have to do is assassinate this colonel, who's been, selling some weapons and things, stealing from us. So naturally, we want to teach him a lesson. And right away, I've got a choice. For 100 credits, I can get more information about the mission, more specifics. I can enhance my map to get more information about where these guards may be. That could be a very worthwhile investment in some missions. Now here's my team selection screen, and as you can see, most missions I get 4 characters, or I can select fewer than that if I want. I'm going to make some equipment purchases here, beginning with the Persuadertron. Now that little device will let me persuade people that I run into to join my cause. Also, I'm going to get a medikit and a scanner so I can locate the enemies. Also, and this is a pretty cool aspect of the game, I can modify my agents. Remember, these are cyborgs, so I can buy a new chest, new arms, new legs, better eyes so they can see better. And another part of the game is research. This is a very important consideration. Gradually, I'll be able to purchase better weapons, bigger guns, and so on, or better mods. But first, they have to be researched. Now here's the gameplay screen, and there's quite a bit to this. You can see these guys can move independently of each other. So if I wanted, I could stick one in the corner and have him guarding, or I can move them all together. Now these options here allow me to inject drugs into my cyborgs. I can make them temporarily more or less intelligent, more agile. I can make them improve their perception. These are going to play an important role when you want to set up your team independently. If you want one guarding a corner or the top of a building, sniping, for instance, you have to inject enough perception and agility for that to happen. And these are timed as well. You'll notice here that I'm picking up some of these weapons. I'll be able to sell these later. And that thing in the lower left-hand corner of the screen is my scanner. That's telling me where enemies are and where my objective is. Now, one limitation of the game is that, unlike something like Diablo, there's no way to see inside these buildings. So, that's a bit of a problem, but usually you can lure the enemies out. And of course, you can still scroll your mouse over it to find the enemies and items in there. We should bear in mind, of course, that this was released in 1993, so a lot of the technologies for manipulating an isometric screen, 3D graphics and so on, hadn't been developed yet. Okay, so here's the colonel inside this building, so it's going to be surprisingly anticlimactic. I now have a shotgun, so boom. He's dead. So much for Colonel Kurtz. Now I can move on. I just wanted to show you this while we're here. I can actually climb inside these vehicles and move around. Conversely, these can be a problem later on when they can run over your agents. But I really want to take this guy out here because he has an Uzi. And what's really cool about this game is if you find a new item, you can add that, you can give it to your scientists working for the Syndicate, and then that will dramatically speed up the research, so I'll be able to purchase an Uzi that much faster. Now, fast forwarded here a bit in the game. As you can see, I now have all sorts of cool weapons and miniguns, and later on you can get shields and far more explosive, high explosive type devices. Plus you can use your Persuadertron to recruit a citizen army to help you out. As you can see, though, there's also quite a bit of gore. Now, there were several ports of this game, and Bullfrog had a great habit of releasing ports for many different systems. This is the Commodore Amiga version, and this is the version that I played when I was a kid, and I still like it very much. Although the graphics aren't quite as good as the DOS version, it stays very faithful to the theme and story and gameplay. In way of comparison, here's the Sega Genesis on the left and Super Nintendo version on the right. And as you can see, the graphics are quite different, and also the story has changed as well. It's been sanitized. So now we're killing robots, out of control robot guards and such. instead of cyborg humans. So sanitized for the protection of your children, I suppose. Not nearly as dark as the originals. There are also ports for the 3DO and the Sega CD. And that's all for this week's Matt Chat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll leave you with a parting thought. Replicants are like any other machine. They can be a benefit or they can be a hazard. If they're a benefit, they're not my problem. See you guys next week.